his dedication. He, although I'm very embarrassed to say this part, very underpaid, but went over and above his call of duty, would work more hours than what we required him to, so that his students would get the best. So what we were teaching students is what I think personifies or embodies Sam in our memory of him in the BHP team. That's the name of the course that he worked for. So we have three things that we teach students. We want students to be empathic, to show empathy. Sam didn't have to be trained in this, as many of you know. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He's one of those people whose spirit was right in the service of the body. He didn't have to treat it to make what he stood for or what he meant or when he angered him. Fought fiercely for his students. He was a very generous marker, and we often had to model time. No, Sam. No, my students did so well. That's not entirely true, Sam. My students did well. But it would become a debate, as Moses will tell you. He's one of our facilitators as well. That in all the moderation sessions that we had, he made sure to say that his students did best. He didn't say his students did best because of him. Mm-hmm. That's the humble part of Sam. He just told you that he sees potential in these students. He sees where they could go, and that is why they are the best. So we teach them empathy. The second thing we teach students is how to reflect. We want them to reflect on action, so to think about what you're doing as you're doing it, to be aware of your own thoughts. We want them to think about what they have done, so reflection about a past event. And we just want them to be aware of what other people might be thinking. Sam was also really great in this. As I mentioned earlier, we've had many troubles at UCT, it's no secret. And some of those troubles would spill into the team, and I, as the line manager, would often be the target. I'm seen sometimes as management, or as not wanting to listen to the plight of facilitators or tutors and many other staff members. And so he would often step in on those very moments and would send a private message to say, so I can see you are struggling, or I can see that people are attacking you. I just want to make sure that you understand we're not attacking you, we're here for you, we understand, but we also want to say what it is that distresses us. And so I valued that part where he's able to tell you the truth and still hold you as a human being, and not demonize you. So that's the second thing we teach students. The last thing we teach students is knowing and being knowledgeable. Now, we do not presume that you are able to know everything that is there to know in the world. We also do not presume to say that there's only one type of knowledge. And Sam made sure students knew that. So we ask students, for example, to celebrate their lives in different languages. So many of the Sotho-speaking students would tell me that they had fun in our course because they were able to express themselves and somebody actually listened and understood. So Sam had a great deal of influence on our students, firstly, and then on our colleagues. And now I speak on behalf of the colleagues. Many of them are unable to be here for various reasons. Those that have communicated with me have said they are unable because they simply cannot believe that Sam has passed. This is because we understood Sam as someone who was full of life and energetic. Although he was always late for training, but he was very, he walks in a room, or these days in a meeting room, and takes a few seconds for us to know that the energy of the room has changed because Sam has been there, and Sam has these jokes and always as a comment, particularly for serious things. He will tell you exactly what he thinks, and many of his thoughts have helped us to calibrate the course, to calibrate our work relations. And so his passing was really sad, and in the first few weeks of this year, more than usual, Sam was a little late. So, in fact, it started a little bit last year, and I was worried. So I text Sam, where are you? Why haven't you told me where you are? And, but he manages to smooth out, and everything is fine. But this year, it might have been the third week of the semester, where he was not in our training, and I make a routine thing to check who's in and to check whether you're okay or not. So I called him, and he answers. I'm like, Sam, what's up? Why are you not here? I'm having network issues. I'm like, Sam, you know you can't lie. Tell me the truth. I just woke up. Okay, but can you join us? I'm so tired. I had the night shift. And this, I'm like, you could have just said, you would understand. It's like, no, but I will join. Then he joins and he sends me a WhatsApp of all the lesson plans and the things that he was going to mention to us in training. Like, no, I had prepared, I just overslept. Telling you this because I think he's one of the few facilitators who actually prepare points in advance before training, because I usually lead the proceedings. So yeah, that shocked me, and I was grateful that he was still plugged in, because he was starting to be busy with his other job. And then the day of his accident, I got an email from his students to say that there's no one attending to them. And I thought, this is strange. I've worked with Sam from 2018 on the worst days of our campus. He has been there. He's one of the people who help cover for other people who might be absent. So I found this strange. When I looked at his WhatsApp, it said 9:54 last seen, and the time now must have been around 3 o'clock. And that raised alarm bells, and so we started calling, only to find out that he had been in an accident. This has injured the spirit of our team beyond measure. Things are not the same. We are unable to process everything, and yet we still need to teach and to hold students, because they are the ones that spent a lot of time with him. It's been a very, very difficult time, because we've had to also take over his responsibilities, and we don't know how to hold each other every week. So, but I do want to leave you with one verse. I hope my words are not to, it's just to tell the truth about Sam, really. He has been a very good friend and a very good colleague. So I will leave you with the scripture from the first book of Thessalonians. The chapter is 4, and I will start reading from verses 13 to 17. Brothers and sisters, we want you to know about those Christians who have died, so you will not be sad, as others who have no hope. We believe that Jesus died and that he rose again. So because of him, God will raise Jesus with those who have died. And in here, I'd like us to insert Sam's name quietly in our heads. What we will tell you now is the Lord's own message. We who are living when the Lord comes again will not go before those who have already died. The Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God. And those who have died believing in Christ will rise first. And after that, we who are still alive will be gathered up with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And we will be with the Lord forever. So encourage each other with these words. Amen.
friend and a brother. Yeah, I'll begin with Job 14. It's an interesting verse. Job says in 14:1, 1-3 says, a man that is born of a woman is full of trouble, right?
Yep.
It says, a man that is born of a woman is full of trouble. He quickly rises and quickly fades away, right? And if I were to look up, it says March 17, 1993 to March 10, 2022. That's less than 30 years. That's very short, right? David says the same thing in Psalm 90, verse 12, right? It says 70 years are our days on earth. If it's 80, you'd have endured, right? And Psalm, it's barely 30, right? So if we were to look at what David says and what happened to Psalm, it creates, for non English word, I would say a quagmire or a reflection for us. And I would like to stick to the part of trouble, right? Being at UCT is hard. Being black and being at UCT is hard. Being a master's and being from a foreign country is hard. And being able to get a distinction at master's level means that you'd have had to go through literally the most to be able to get that distinction. When people celebrate at Baxter, up there, it's just telling the world that I have made it irrespective of my skin color, irrespective of all that has happened to me. And some, for me, was another English word, an epitome of brightness. Look at him smiling. That's how he was the entire time you meet him, whether he has been in trouble and all of that. And all the things. I only got to know at a certain point that he was homeless for quite a while, and that's interesting. So being able to be homeless, being able to lack food, and just being able to persevere and get a distinction shows the perseverance that he had. Siwe made mention that he was a BHP facilitator. The amount of money that you get at BHP cannot pay rent in Cape Town, right? It's less than the rent you can get in Cape Town. That means you have to do so many other things, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to do 1, 2, or 3 jobs just to be able to survive in Cape Town. Because being from Lesotho means that certain things you have to pay are cash, right? So you either have the money or you don't have the money. So you either have or there's nothing for you. But Sam was able to endure all this and was able to get a distinction. That speaks to his strength. And it also leaves us with, I think, I would say reflections, saying that irrespective of all that happened to him, he was actually able to persevere and just be able to be a bright individual in the best university in Africa, right? And for me, he was about to start his PhD, but even before beginning his PhD, he had a fifth balance. And that speaks to his, the passion that he had for education. When we, in our group sessions, someone always said, like Sue says, that his students were the best, right? And in medicine, some things are relative while others are absolute. When some said his students were the best, you would actually look at the records and how his students would write in their essays that would mark, and they were excellent. And he would never take credit for that. That speaks to his humble nature. Some people say he was feisty, but that was just because of the passion that he had for education, or the passion that he had for a student that comes from deep down the rurals of Eastern Cape, Limpopo, or wherever they came from. And I think for me the most difficult part was I had to engage with the doctors, the neurosurgeons before, because somehow he was a friend of mine. So I asked him when Sam was in ICU, is there hope for Sam? Right? So he sent me a WhatsApp and said, Moses, I can only tell you that two things will happen to Sam, right? It's going to be lifelong therapy, or he actually won't make it beyond the 1 week. And this was 2 days before he passed on. So I remember he sent me a message at 11:30 saying, okay, now what we have is Sam is actually going to be transferred to this ward. And for me, when he said that, I literally expected the worst, because the same thing happened to my mom. Usually when the doctors say, we're going to transfer you here, you ultimately know what is going to happen. Either they're going to call the family and tell them, you need to let him go. And somehow the onus was on me to tell my colleagues that our friend had passed on, right? And it was hard. Some of them actually not here, because it's hard for you to tell a friend of yours that you'd have seen 2 weeks before. Because I remember after COVID, the first face-to-face session, I met someone and I told him, hey Sam, I have survived COVID. What plans do you have? I was like, Sam, we need to come to the city for your lobola. I was like, Moses, forget about the roller, all these other things. And that's what we're discussing. So I told him we need to make sure that we persevere this 2023. And I was happy because he was about to join me in doing the PhD, but literally, now I can only speak of him in past tense. Somehow, what I can do for us, like everyone has said, that he leaves a smile in us, he leaves a testimony with us, he leaves us with students that we have to tell that their colleague has passed on. And literally, until we meet again, we can just be the very best that we can. Thank you.
You can come through. Umuntu into ezelomfazi imihla emifutshane ebesitsho ke umhlekazi esasithini obesitsho apha. Over to you.
Thank you for making stand up facilitator, because you know that in my first job, where I would be anxious, confused, worried, I would need someone on my side. Would be a reminder that I'm capable of what I think, that I can get through it, and I will get through it. Who motivated me to always reach for greatness and never let anything slow me. A person who would renew my energy in the middle of the week when all my work had drained me. God knew that I would need someone who would challenge me to wake up at 7:30 and start my day every day, and I didn't want to. God knew that step needed to come in my life to give me lessons that would carry me through. Thank you, Father, for Camp 5 and the many lives that you touched. My name is I was a student last day. He was maybe who he said. When I heard that he was passed out, I didn't want to believe that it was true. He was one of the people that really helped me get through my first year. And when the email came through and he was noticed that son passed out, do you know what you thought? The fear that you need to remember your mother's initiative so people don't die. Finally, and was a gentle person. And I just went down memory lane and remembered that there were no lies that Sam was very consistent in his energy. Even when he would come to our sessions and we would be tired, he would definitely take the energy and give us even when it did. I time for anything. That we can always take time out and enjoy the beauty of life. I also remember that usually our BP sessions would be in the afternoons from 2 to 5, but then second semester he decided that he's going to make it 6:30 in the morning. And I didn't understand why he did that. I was trying to find off like Saturday, and he was like, yes, start early so that you have more hours in the day to go and conquer the world. And the one day, while we were having our session, I accidentally slept during our session. And I texted him late and I was like, I'm so sorry that I slept and everything. And he reassured me that I shouldn't worry because sometimes he also sleeps during meetings. And the only thing is just that I'm always his go-to girl in terms of answering questions, because sometimes some of my classmates wouldn't answer. I'm just like, you know what, I'll just answer, because Sam was just that person that you just don't want to disappoint, because he gives you so much energy and he gives you so much that you just want to be that person just like, okay, he's asking a question, or just keep quiet. Like, even if I don't know, okay, I'll answer. So, I really thank God for Sam's life, and that he really did have an impact in my life in a great way, and I'll never forget him. I came across a quote that said, we all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will. And all his lessons, his love and energy will live on in many students. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Budongo to come to the front and give us the Holy City.
Last night, while they are sleeping, there came that gleam so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem beside the temple there. I heard the children singing, and ever as they sang, methought the voice of angels from heaven answered them. Methought the voice of angels from heaven answered the shadow of the strange new earth there seemed to be. I saw the holy city beside the tideless sea. The lights of God were on the street, the gates were open wide, and all who might enter, and no one was denied. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sing for the night is o'er. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King.
Thank you very much, Burungo. You know, Julian, as I listened to the colleagues from UCT, Sephekana and S.Mohapi, they say they changed dates so that they could fit same schedule. That's how fabulous it was. UCT, the department, they changed their schedule so that they could fit into the same schedule. Take that back with you. Next up, we have Gabriel from the National Health Laboratory Services. Am I right? Correct. Who is going to speak about Sam as a colleague there. Guys, if I stand up, it means that you've gone over your time. I'm trying not to stop anyone, but yeah, thank you. Over to you, sir.
Greetings all, to the family, friends, colleagues. Good afternoon. I'm just saying good, but it's actually not a good one because it's heavy on us. I stand here as SAM's manager in the National Health Laboratory Services as a colleague on behalf of the colleagues as well as the organization. So I will try to just to give a bit of a background on how I got to meet Sam and get to know Sam. We, as a laboratory, we had to start a new lab, totally from scratch. That was in 2020. You would know that COVID pandemic, especially so in the Western Cape, started in April 2020. That's when we experienced this strong wave of COVID. So we had to, or rather I had a mandate to start a new lab because to increase capacity, as you know, there were thousands of people testing for, who required testing for COVID. And we founded a lab, that was in April. And because it was a totally new lab, we didn't have staff members. So we had to get staff members from other labs, Protestir, Tigerberg hospitals, just to start the lab and have the technical skills that we required. And as the wave went, April, May, we anticipated a certain amount, but we realized actually COVID is way bigger than we actually thought. And we had to, or the organization had to now employ more people. And that was around May, so that's when we had more advertisements. And we interviewed, and Sam was one of those who were also in the interviews, and he was successful in his interviews. That's how I got to meet Sam in the first place. So when they started, it was a group of scientists, medical technologists, clerks, and that's how we met, and it kept going. And remember, as we were starting the lab, it was totally new. We had new instruments. We had to implement new methods and all that. So it was quite challenging. At the same time, having the pressure of making sure that we take out the results so that we can help the community, to cap, the COVID spreading, improve the turnaround time and all that. So Sam was very keen to learn, but actually I had learned actually at that time that Sam was never in a work space or in a laboratory setting. He had all the qualifications that was required. He never had the experience that we needed in the lab. But he was very keen to do the work. And in that time, we had so many clashes with people who believed that they were well experienced. And here comes Sam, but Sam is telling me, no, I can train you, That was the situation at that time. And I had a few clashes. There were a few clashes where I had to actually intervene, where Sam was trying to train, and someone's coming and say, I've been in the lab for 18 years, just take a back seat, let me train the people. But because of his passion, he always wanted to make sure that he learns. A new equipment is coming in, he wanted to learn, he wanted to show the next person. And now a lot of dots actually for me are kind of like connecting now when I'm hearing from the UCT side, what he was doing. So that is the role that he played. He played a very significant role in the lab. But you mentioned the issue of him being feisty. Yeah, there's a time where I had to call Sam into the office, actually several times. And I said, you know what, Sam, if you find yourself as a common denominator, that you have an issue with Gabriel here, you had an issue with Itumeleng there, you had an issue with that, you get yourself and say, what is going on here? Where's the issue exactly? You find yourself with 3 people, this one is complaining about this one. Before you look at other people, just assess yourself and say, what is it that I'm not doing right? What is it that I'm doing wrong? And we had those discussions. And, we know Sam, he was a young, energetic, and very strong, man. He was strong, he was masculine. You know him as friends and colleagues. And in the processes, we were learning many molecular processes. Those who are familiar in the lab, they would know that we've got pipettes. And I think most of our pipettes suffered in Sam's hands because they got broken. Most of the pipettes, he would work with the pipette and he later comes and reports, the pipette is broken. And that would impact on the workflow, because these are equipment that are crucial for us to get the work going and all that. But it was never the issue as such, because he would usually come and say, this is what happened. And I think also we should take time to celebrate, Sam's life rather than looking into that we've lost a life. I think he was very impactful in his life, young as he was, but look what he has achieved. I think Sam was about 29 or so, but his achievement speaks a lot. And for me, I think that is life well lived, rather than someone who would live 100 years but who never had an impact. As young as he is, I think he has made such a huge impact in our lives. Right, he had multiple jobs, right? And this is part of the problem that I had with Sam, to say late coming was the main issue at times. Late coming, but I understand now the context, because of he would be, in UCT, and then he would have to rush to work and all that. So there was that issue. And when he was on night shift also, sometimes, colleagues would come and report and say, hey, we're struggling with Sam. Sometimes Sam is sitting on the computer and it's busy. Probably he's preparing his notes for the following day, who knows? You see, so, but that shows a determination, someone who's driven, someone who has a purpose, and I think that is worth celebrating. It is a lot of lessons that we can take from here, that what Sam has done, that as young people, we must be driven, we must be impactful, we must have a meaningful life, rather than just a long, prolonged life, but not adding value to the next person, one way or the other. And I think that's how we should drive ourselves as people, right? And I think this is what we've seen from Sam. He comes in the room. I think our team eventually grew as COVID, first wave, second wave, third wave. We kept on growing the lab because the demand was growing. And those who are his colleagues, they would know we have a big lab, and we have a section where we have a technical side and we have the clinical side where they do the picture and all that. And as much as we were one team, but we were segregated in that way, but they were always sharing kitchens and all that. But Sam, I would see him also socializing a lot with the people on the other side, more than most of the technical side. I would see them gelling. So you find more technical side are more together, as much as they were joining, but Sam was all over the place, and that was it. So I think this is a life we must celebrate. And for me personally, I think I'm grateful to have met Sam. I remember there's a time when he wanted to enroll for his PhD, And he asked, we were extending contracts, because mostly we were on contracts depending on the demand. And he wanted to meet me and said, I'm not sure what to do here. If I should now accept the contract, or should I not accept the contract, because this is my dream. I'm aiming to go and enroll for this, and I think already I've got too much in my plate. All right, but because we come a long way, and I already knew he got the skills that we required, and I said, no, give it a shot as it is. Do not resign yet, because we can also schedule you. You can be now on a scheduled time. We are talking about now having him to accommodate him. All right, so we were struggling with skills and all that later, so we didn't want to lose the experience that he had, and especially during the waves that we have new people and we have to now start training. All right, so we said, no, instead of now having this contract, you can come maybe a week or whatever that fits your arrangement, so that at least we can help with elevating the work. So I think he was very blessed in that sense, and it comes with the character, it comes with who he is as a person. To say, I had the line manager say we tried to accommodate him. Also, we were willing to accommodate him because we needed that skill to get going. Right. So, just to give a bit of a background, things for me changed when there's a day I received a call. That was on the 24th, the day of the accident. That was a difficult day for me because I remember I received a call, and this call, actually I was still in the meeting, and I dropped the call because I was in a meeting, because the number didn't know, it was an 082 number. And immediately after that, I received a call from Sam, from Sam's phone. And actually, the meeting was about to adjourn, so I stepped out quickly to respond to Sam. And I stepped out because on that day, the 24th, he had asked for a half day at work. And I said, no, it's fine, you can have a half day. He was supposed to start 11 o'clock on that day. You can have a half day, but he said, I will come in a bit early. So I stepped out of knowing that he had an arrangement. I'm not sure what's happening, so that I can inform staff. Then when I answered the phone, it was a white lady on the other end of the call. And she said, I am phoning on behalf of Sam, because of Sam was just involved in a car accident. And immediately in that moment for me, it was a hard moment because of to have someone else phoning with his phone in his presence to tell me that I'm phoning on his behalf. It meant a lot to me, and it was difficult in that time to say, probably the worst has happened here. But, and I asked the lady to say, are you the one who was driving the car that hit Sam? And they said, no, I'm a paramedic, and we are going to take Sam to Methodist Hospital. So I went through his phone, and then I found your number. That's why I decided to call you. I thought I should call this number. I'm not sure how Sam had saved me in his phone, whether as a manager or what, but I was saying when we had the memorial at work, he used to call me Timer, right? So I don't know how he saved, whether it was Timer or what did it for. And yeah, I was saying to me, Timer meant someone who's a father. I would look at my father and say, this is my Timer, And when I look at my age and him, I used to be Timer. But I understand now it's coming from out of respect. It's coming out of respect. So that was a hard moment for me, and I left the meeting immediately, just informed you guys today. Unfortunately, one of our staff members just had an accident, or involved in an accident, and I had to rush, get his personal file, in a cupboard to rush to put the skill so that I can assist with opening the files, right? And I got to put the skill, the paramedics were still there, and I asked where he was. They told me, in the trauma unit. I went there and helped with the documentation. Right. So we were looking for, a first of kin. That's how I got to first know about overseas ladies, right, together. And unfortunately, in that day, we tried, because I left, I don't know if Chris is here, but HR, I gave them the documents to say, can you please phone the family whilst I'm going to the hospital to go and assist with opening the files and the information that is required there. And I think we struggled a bit in the day. We only managed to get ladies around 8, 9 in the evening. That's the only time that we managed to get. And at that time, we were worried to say, this man is going through this process and the family doesn't know what was happening. So that was also another emotional moment for me in person. So when I got to the hospital, I was not able to see him because he was in trauma unit. And we opened the documents and all that. The documents were opened, the files were opened, and we handed over the number from the family so that they can contact the family. Until I got late, I called late again in the evening around 6 to say, you need to come and collect Sam's belongings. And that was another hard moment, to be honest. It was very difficult to go and see, when I found, the back with his torn clothes and all that, it really, yeah. So it was difficult really to go through that process, to see all that. And we kept that, and fortunately I managed to get hold of the lady, so I think it was around 9 in that evening, the Thursday, and she informed me that she actually preparing to come the following day, and that's how we got to meet. And we went through, I think, the last few weeks with ladies and just to try to give family support, going to the hospital and all that. And I got to meet the friends actually when we went to the hospital. We met the friends there. But it was very difficult times. But I'm saying, as difficult as we are now, I think we are all blessed to have the life of Sam. And that is a life that is worth being celebrated. And I think we should hold on to all those good memories. We know those who are believers in Christ. Christ left when he was 22. He died when he was 22 years old. But the impact, the value that he added, we still hold on to that even at this moment.
Amen.
So it is not necessarily about the length of time that one lives, but it's about the impact that you put, the value that you live with. And I think that is what we should hold on to and celebrate Sam's life. I think it's a great life, and I am pleased to have met him. And I'm thankful also for the colleagues. I'm thankful to have met her because I've seen the whole support that has been brought through for the family. I think we should be grateful for that. And I want to say, ladies, so rest in peace. It has been wonderful to meet him, to know him, but we must live and celebrate his life. It was a life well lived. I believe that is all my heart. And condolences to the family. I think he was a hero, and we should keep his memory as such. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. When you said he added value, I literally imagined the student who was standing here before him when they are 40 or 45 or 50, telling their kids of the mentor that they had when they were in the medical school or the science school at UCT. That is the kind of legacy that Osama is leaving behind. The one that people will talk about and say, when I was at UCT, my first year, I had the worst time of my life, but I was a guiding me through it. That's the kind of legacy we are looking at. And also, I think everyone in the room can take one thing from Sam. Sam was a UCT facilitator. He worked at the National Laboratory. He also did his master's at the same time, got a distinction. I don't have to say anything else. I'm sure you all see the way. That's the same way. And that one is very James. That's yours. I hope you're watching. Yes, that's me. I'm gonna call all the friends. I'm gonna call all of them to come up. They're all gonna stand here, and we'll start with Tato, and then everyone else will follow you, and then the messages will be read right at the end. Over to you, the friends.
Good evening, everyone. We're here to celebrate a very special person. We're here to celebrate a very special person in our life. And I'm going to start off by reading a couple of messages from some of his friends that weren't able to be here. Okay. Gone from our sight, called too soon from our world. We take comfort in knowing that we shall be reunited once more. Forever in our hearts, your name, memories of you, forever ingrained in our hearts. Thank you for your love, for your friendship, and for the beautiful memories we share together. Rest in eternal peace, Chomi. So that's a message from Tato the boy. There's Tato the boy, then Tato the girl. That's how they differentiated us. So that's a message from him. Okay, I'm gonna speak from my own experience with Sam. We first met in high school, like in 2011, like 10 years ago, and you could, like, before I knew him, I could already see his presence. I looked at him and I was like, who is this beautiful boy who's so confident and he knows it?
Right.
Like when he walks into a room, he feels it, and he trusts himself, he trusts his abilities. And yeah, we ended up becoming friends in high school, and then obviously closer when we got to UCT. There was a time when he was all that I had, like in terms of the closest person to me here in Cape Town. Every single day after school, I used to leave my house because I lived at Lower Campus, and I would know that at 6 p.m. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be with Sam. We're gonna study. We're gonna have a coffee break. We're gonna chill. We're gonna gossip every single day after school. Every single day after school without fail. And it ended up being the whole Leesbeek family, getting introduced to a lot of his friends and his loved ones. And it was one of the best years of my time at UCT. People even started thinking that I lived there, the way that I was there, way more than I was at my own race. Like, one thing that I'm always gonna miss about my friend is that he was so protective of me. It was rare that he would ever talk to me call me by my name. It was either baby, love, boo. Like, our relationship was not spicy, and it was different from the bond that he shared with many of his other friends. It was always very encouraging, very loving, and he was basically that friend that became a big brother to me. The last thing that I'm going to speak about is like when we end up moving in together in 2019. We ended up moving in together. It was a 3-bedroom apartment. Sam, myself, and my sister in the other room. And that's when I got a taste of what Sam's work ethic is. Sam would wake up in the morning, get out of the house before I'm out of the house, and then get home exhausted at 11, 12 p.m. almost every single day. He was passionate and he loved what he did. Like, he would explain to me research articles. Literally, he'd get passionate about research articles, and he's trying to make me get it with my fragile high school biology. He's explaining his master's level things that he's reading with so much passion, as if he's talking about something very exciting that's right here. Like, he was very passionate about everything, about his academics, about life. Everything he did was dramatic, from his expressions. When he laughed for real with his full face. He couldn't hide anything. When he's confused, frown. Like, he was very dramatic in everything that he did, and I'm gonna really miss him. So I'm just gonna say, Simon, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for everything. Your presence will never be replaced in my life. I don't think I'll ever find the same type of bond that I had with you. Thank you for everything, and you've achieved your purpose. Thank you.
I never ever, for one, ever thought that I'll be standing here in front of everyone, actually, at Sam's memorial service. Like, ever. Sam would say to me, Chomi, ew, what are you wearing? Right? are you coming with me? Right? And then every time I get offended, but I'm like, he was my fashion police officer.
Yes.
That's how Sam was. I met Sam in 2015 at Lyrical, actually, Lyrical Prayers. I won't even lie, I really had a full-fledged varsity experience. You know, when you see the whole American romanticized movies, Sam was that for me. Literally, there's nothing under the radar in my UCT experience which I didn't do, and Sam was a part of that. And I lived and yeah. So one thing about Sam, we took a trip in 2016, actually we made Sunset, and we missed the flight. And you guys would know why. Getting ready, like I was Sam, like I watched one get go. And then like, John, we need to go. We missed the flight, and long story short, we made it in Josie. But for me, actually, I was reflecting back, and I'm like, there was that experience. I was so annoyed. I didn't talk to Sam the whole ride because we had to. It was a long weekend. The UCT shot back, and it happened on Easter weekend. So the alternative costs were more, right? And we had to take a bus. Never spoke to him the entire journey because I was so annoyed, right? But it was his nonchalant spirit, energy, and how he carried himself. And I was actually reflecting back. I was like, wow. Because I was thinking about it. Like, I would want such an aura. Like when things are going like this, you just calm down. Hi, John, we got this, right? That was him the entire journey. Okay. And the other thing is, me and Sam used to argue a lot. There was he did IEB, you did IBE, right? IEB? IEB, yeah. And I did University of Cambridge exam. So would fight which one was going higher, right? All the entire time. And then I did my research side, and then, okay, he was right, he was correct. But I never ever would tell him, like, in his face. And then every time, like, would have this isms that go on about it, but I'm like, inside I'm like, oh, actually I've done the research, I know this. But I would never concede the defeat to him. And, you know, I wish now that, you know, looking back, I say, Sam, you're right, and you're correct about it, right? I think one thing which I would actually want to reflect back, Sam leaves me with amazing friends. And I'm gonna truly, truly treasure those friends and be very intent about it, because it's a testament of how Sam was as a person. Like, I want to treasure those friendships and move on with those friendships going forward, because I want to celebrate Sam's legacy. So yeah, basically just
Thanks. So I'll be reading two messages from friends of ours, one in Durban, Sandy in Kize, and the other one in Danimark in Joburg. But just before I get to that, I just want to share a quick story of the day I met Sam. And what a confident young person he was. He wore horrible red jeans, I didn't understand. But it was actually, I think, around 2014, it was Joe's birthday. Yeah, that's the first time I encountered him. And we were chatting for about 30 minutes, and during the course of the evening, he came to me and he said, you and I are going to be friends, and the rest is history. Yeah, so this is the message to Sam from Sunday. He says, Sephekana, you always hated it when I called you this. I met Sammy, I got to know Sammy, and later on Sephekana, and we really got to know each other. When I got the news, my immediate feeling was not of my loss or your family's loss, but that you have been robbed of a life that you have so tirelessly invested all your being in. As I mourned and reflected on your life and seeing how people are celebrating and remembering you, I quickly realized that you have lived a full life, Pops. You shared your being with us authentically and full of love. When we last had our conversation, you declared, Pops, this is my year. I will not lie and say that this doesn't hurt, because I know why you are declaring it. I know the sacrifices you have made and the love that you have for your family. Itumeleng, Sam loved you. You and his family more than anything else in this world. I want you to hold comfort in that and cherish that forever. Our friendship was very different. You know me inside and out. We fought like siblings, and I now appreciate why this happened. You always expected more of us, and more of each other and more from each other. We grew closer and closer over the past 4 years. I'm still lost as to who I will share my happiest and most sad and saddest moments with, my secrets, some of which I will never share with anyone else. You helped me navigate aspects of my life that I could not with anyone else. I'm really grateful that I met you. You were really a godsend. You have left an indelible mark, and I know you're in a better place. I love you, always. I'm just going to read Lindani's. This is a message from Lindani. He says, "Dear Sam, I still cannot believe the circumstances under which I'm writing to you. I would never have imagined that this is what 2022 had in store for us. You said that you would get me. You said that you wanted me to save up and come up to Lesotho with you. Never would I have imagined that I'd be going to Lesotho without you. You were still way too young, so energetic and full of life. Every day had a purpose for you. You were constantly in pursuit of something, whether it be chasing your career goals, body goals, or simply creating memories with your friends. Every day I spent with you was eventful. Everyone can attest to the fact that there was never a dull moment in your presence. My heart breaks for the immense potential that you still had. Your drive was so consistent and so admirable. You have, however, achieved so much in the time that you had spent with us. You have touched and bettered our lives. I still remember fondly the day that I met you. That moment, I would never have imagined that I would have played such a significant role. You would have played such a significant role in my life. You are not prideful, you love wholeheartedly, and you love being in the presence of the ones that you loved. I have no doubt that you are in a better place now. You are always so raw, so authentic, and full of conviction. Your unique and strong character will never be replaceable. It gives me confidence knowing that we have only parted temporarily and we will meet again. Thank you so much for everything, Sammy. You are truly one of a kind. We have lost dearly. The world is suffering a great loss. I will remember you with our last and favorite GIF inserted below. And yeah, that's a message from Lindani. And the last time, what's particularly heartbreaking about Lindani's message to Sam is that, I think was it a week or 2 weeks before? 1 week. 1 week before, at Sam's new place, he had hosted a sort of farewell for Lindani because he was going to do an internship in Joburg. And Sam threw this big party, not knowing that that was the last time he was seeing what I would always refer as his twin. But yeah. Thanks, Miss.
Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. I have just one more letter. Because, yeah, there are a lot of people who considered Sam as a bestie, so you have to go through everything. Okay, this is the last message. It's from Tabiso. Okay. Sam and I shared a bond that till this day I struggle to find words to articulate what it was and most importantly how it was. There's no one in this life that knows me like Sam does. Our relationship began years ago as little boys in our neighborhood called Hatchetsane Masebe. As we grew up, life saw us take different paths, but even that being the case, we carried and continued our beautiful friendship and brotherhood. That has impacted my life in that big, life-changing ways and continues to. I had always known and felt that he would become one of the closest people in my life, and he did. I've said a lot of things to him in the last couple of weeks, but please allow me to say to him again that, Mwanezu, you have been a light and an instrument of joy in my life and the lives of so many other people who had the pleasure of knowing you. I think that you're very special. You have lived a life that is very proud, that I'm very proud of. You have done and presented yourself so well to this world. To Sam, thank you so much, my friend, for many years and a beautiful brotherhood. The longing of you floods my void, and you will be present in all of my memories. I love you, and may your soul rest in eternal peace. Amen.
So I met Sam in 2015, in March. We were at a party. I'm not sure about the party because it was in the Rescue Reading Observatory, but we were at a birthday celebration. And I won't get into the rest of that day. And then I meet him years later. So when I met him, he had that hairstyle. Yes, that's the hairstyle he had. And he didn't look like that young man up there. And then when I met him the second time around, that's what he looked like. He loved consistency. He would remind you. If something changed in the friendship, he would tell you, something is different. I'm not feeling what I felt last week. That's the kind of person that he was. You know, Unukanda, the one who sang the very first song, Kamaku Mosia, I think met Sam for 3 days. And when I told her that Sam was known, he was like, which one? Because when Sam arrived at my place, she was there, and they started going sutu on me. So the time I was showing off a sutu, and Sam put a sutu on me, and I was like, okay, enjoy. But Sam was a gym fanatic, loved his body. He rocked a crop top. He walked into a room with a crop top like there was no tomorrow. That's who Sam was. He was so confident in who he was, like you said, like, that's the Sam we're talking about. Yet, I was talking, when I was driving here, I was talking to Bulbul and I was saying, hey man, Sam was it all. Sam was clever, he was intelligent, and yet he had time to go to the gym. Like, you know, he did all these things. I'm not going to call his colleague, Moses, to come and sing Ave Maria. When Moses says that in Ave Maria, Oliana will come up and do a tribute. And then I will come back after that. start where we are planning to do a tribute.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, it's very touching to. It's very touching to hear a lot of people talk about Sam. I'm very amazed at how much he touched so many people's lives. You know, we could say, yes, he died young, but in that short life, he touched so many people's lives. You know, I'm sad and I'm in pain. I'm in pain at the loss of Sephekana. You know, Sam was just not someone I knew. He was a friend, a lover. He embodied everything I envisioned in a person. He came at a time in my life when I needed a person like him. I needed joy, I needed love, I needed fun, I needed everything that he embodied. I could never, in my wildest imagination, thought that I'd be standing here today paying tribute to you, handsome. I used to call him that. He was my handsome. He was my everything. You know, he used to call me Papi. I didn't know where that came from, but he used to call me that. But I liked it and I said he should stick with that. After all, I am. You know, I'll tell you a story how we met. You know, we met on a dating app. We had a conversation. The conversation we had was, of course, about Sam's body, and that's just how Sam is, you know. Always taking care of himself, well dressed. In fact, that's the first thing, you know. What Joe mentioned earlier, that Sam was like his fashion police. That's what he said to me too when you first met me. Like, I'm judging you. You need to go shopping. He was always well dressed. You know, the conversation we had, you know, was about trust at that time. Because I told him I don't really trust him as a stranger, and he's too full of himself. He's way too attractive. You know, for my liking, I said to him, he laughed it out and immediately said we should go out on a date. I delayed accepting his request for some reason. Instead, we kept on having conversations for about an hour. You know, that conversation we had, I don't really remember the full content of it, but it was one of the best conversations I'd had with Sam. Sam was special. There's nothing, even if he's late, even if he's dramatic, Sam was just a special person. You know, later on in that conversation we had on the app, I just moved on and I just deleted the app and continued, you know. With Sam, I thought we'd never cross paths after that conversation. Little did I know, a determined Sam was on a quest searching for me. He spent over a week looking through Instagram, Twitter, everything. Eventually he found me.
Oh my God.
he found me and he sent me a direct message, followed me, sent me a direct message instantly. And you know, you could tell from just those DMs the excitement he had, the joy he had for just finding me, you know. And that was just Sam's philosophy in life. I learned from him. I was working hard to get what he wants, whether it was in a personal capacity, academics, career. He was just determined to get what he wanted. You know, our friendship began on a stressful high. Sam was not one to express his stresses in life. He believed in dealing with challenges in silence, but somehow I could understand his moods and changes, you know, and his stresses. I learned this from our first ever date. He was so stressed. And Sam is a typical, like, he walks very fast, you know, he's one of those people, you know, and he was just so fast, and you could see he's very stressed and anxious. You know, he expressed to me, you know, we had an open engagement. He expressed to me what I was going through in his life on our first ever date. Immediately, you know, I understood his nature. He was so sincere, he was so honest when he wanted to. This allowed us to have open engagements with each other. You know, it was a relationship built on a foundation of open engagement, I said to him. He always believed that I was too wise for my age. I never understood what he meant. And even till this day, I just don't understand what he meant. His departure has made me realize that I need that wisdom much more than ever. His untimely death has left a void I could and a void I feel like I could never fill. I ask myself, who will I pour out my troubles to now that he has departed? Who will hold me when I'm who will hold me when I'm in need? Who will I watch Netflix with all day? Sam loved Netflix. Yeah. He was my Netflix buddy. Sleep the whole day. He loves sleeping. So you knew if you can't get hold of him, he's probably sleeping. Talk about what we both wanted to achieve. Those late night calls, going on for hours. You know, being out with Sam was always about enjoying the moment. Sometimes it meant dancing, even if we both couldn't dance. You know, we are both terrible dancers, but somehow we had fun at trying. It was never about dancing at the moment. It was just the moment. I already miss you saying you're proud of me for not missing a gym session. Your motivation pushed me to my limits. Your smile, guys, Sam's smile, you know, those that really know Sam will know that when Sam smiles at you with that affectionate smile, it's too hard to say no. It's too hard to. It's much easier to say yes than no to him. He was certainly special. Special to me. Sam had so much dreams, so much ahead of him. He shared these dreams with me. One of those dreams was Dr. Scientist Sam.
Oh my God.
I look back and think to myself, how can this happen to Handsome? I lost faith in God for a moment. How can his life be cut so short after working so hard and achieving so much? He was yet to achieve so much more. He still had so much to give, so much love, so much experience. You know, Sam loved writing on sticky notes. If you've been to, let's say, he loved writing on sticky notes. He wrote all his manifestation in those sticky notes. One of those manifestations was 2022 is my year. 2022 is my year. The year 2022 is the year his life has come to an end. I'm trying to find answers as to why so soon, why so young. And the only conclusions I can come to is that his fun, loving spirit is needed elsewhere. In a place where he'll be at peace. I believe that he touched so many of us and will continue to do so, even beyond. His life might have come to an end, but his dreams and spirit will continue to live with us. You know, the day before the accident, my last text to Sam it was the day the artist Obituary had passed on, and we were having a conversation about mental health and suicide. I wrote him a text, which was my last text that evening before saying goodnight. I said, life is too short. We need to live it to our best of our abilities before we are gone. Little did I know that his life would come to an end soon. That text has haunted me since that day. I cried tears of pain, tears of anger. But now I find comfort in the fact that Sam was fun. He loved everything about life. And that showed in how he lived. The memories we made together will forever be with me. One thing I take from him is that we have to live. Live as if it's our last day. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. We live on borrowed time. I cherish and embrace the moments we had together. Sleep well, handsome. Papi will forever love and miss you. Our spiritual journey will forever be bound by our connection. A connection understood by you and I. Itu. And it's been tough. I've been with you on this journey. We've had conversations, but I know wherever Sam is, He's with you. He's with me. He's with everyone. We can never forget that. He will forever live with us. Thank you.
May the waves that are still to come be gentle and kind. I hope everyone can join me, those that can. Please, the city, And one wonders why I chose that particular hymn right now. You know, when I did my history at school, they say when everything else was done, it was in 1958, 1956 during the March of the Ladies at the Union Buildings. But when everything was done and they had given their petition and their complaints and nothing was happening, they sang this song and said to God, Lisa, let your will be done. I think for a second there I was inviting him to take over and be in charge. Jumeleng, it's your turn to come and talk to us. So please come and join me in the front. Jumeleng is the sister to Samuel Sephekana.
Hi everyone. My name is S.Mohapi. Ladies, Matutu. I've been hearing those names. I guess that's what he's been saying about me. I don't know what to say really. It's really tough. But I promise you, I'm not gonna cry this time, okay? Guys, I don't even know where to begin. I got a call from Mr. Gabriel, Sam's manager. Oh, first I got it from Sia. You know, there's this thing. I think somehow my brother knew that he was going to leave at some point. He had done so many things in a very short space of time. I guess he knew that his time was limited. It said that our last conversation the last time we talked, he was shouting at me. He wrote me this very long voice note. I couldn't even finish it. It was only yesterday that I had strength and courage to finish it. And the only thing I did was, I couldn't, when I replied, I just said to him, I don't know what to say. And I was like, I don't care. I don't expect you to say anything. So, from my family, on behalf of my family, guys, thank you so much for the love I received from my first day in Cape Town. When I came here, when I packed my suitcase, I was like, okay, I'm going to take care of my dramatic baby brother. I can't lie, death was not on the list. My faith was so strong, like I've been so angry with God for the past 2 weeks because my faith was so strong that my brother was going to come back. The things I saw when I got into his house made me realize, no, okay, Sam is just resting. God just made him be in that accident for him to get a break because he didn't want to rest. He didn't want to rest. He loved his education, he loved everything. Like, his enthusiasm was, it was beyond. So I was like, okay, I guess this was God's way of saying, young man, get a rest. But I can't lie, death was not on the list. And guys, we've been dropped. My family has been dropped. But despite everything, we give it to God. I heard you guys mentioning everything about Sam, how much he was good as a facilitator, as a friend, how much he loved his education and everything. And also I want to add that Sam loved his family with everything. Sam would share his every cent with his family. For the first time in my life, I never had, I always felt God gave me a responsibility to take care of everybody. I always felt there was nobody to take care of me. I couldn't even acknowledge that from my parents because I felt I had so much to do. Take care of my family, take care of my siblings, young as I was. For the first time in my life, last year and this year, I had someone to take care of me. And that person was Sam. My brother would always tell me every day, please take control of your life. For those of you who know him, for those of you who were so personal with him and everything, Sam would always say, live your life. Make the best out of your life. This morning, as I was going through my WhatsApp status, I read something, and that summed up Sam's life. It said, you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough.
Amen.
That's my brother's life.
Amen.
That's how it's been summed up. He lived his life. He lived his life in a very short space of time, but he made the best out of it. Instead of crying, I'm going to take that back home. From the moment my brother passed away, I told myself, like he would want me to do, like he would always tell me to do, I'm going to live the best out of my life. That's the promise I made to Sam. We lost a brother, but we gained an angel. Guys, thank you so much for everything you have done for me personally and for my family. The love I've received from all of you guys have been so amazing. I pray every day that God bless you all in abundance for my family. Like, I don't have enough words to say thank you, but just so you know, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of my family, we are grateful for all you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. There are 2 items left on the agenda. I'm going to call upon Omali Viwe to come to the front and do a vote of thanks. When he's done with the vote of thanks, Lupo is going to come and stand on my left, and he will sing a hymn, When the hymn starts, a video will play on the screen. And when the video plays on the screen, we will do the obituary. Thank you, over to you.
Thanks, Mosi. I think what we can take away from today is that in as much as Sam lived a very short life, it was very full. On behalf of his friends, on behalf of his family, I just want to thank everyone. I know that the past 3 weeks or so since Sam's accident has turned a lot of lives upside down. I want to thank you guys for the generosity, the kindness, the support, and the help that you have shown in Itumeleng. And I know that Sam's younger sister Florina and his dad in the Lesotho are also grateful. It's not been easy. And I think a lot of you might be in the group and you might be aware, and you know that in terms of administratively, logistically, it's been a nightmare. There's been hurdle after hurdle, obstacle after obstacle. But with each hurdle that we encountered, there was always someone readily putting up their hand. Someone was doing something. I can do that, I can call that one, I can go there, I can pick up this. And I think that is testament and a reflection of the life that Sam lived. So on behalf of everyone, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to what I call the machine, the people who put today together, because we felt that, Sam was a prince. Sam liked nice things. Sam was bougie. Sam, he had to, we had to send him off properly. And the idea to have this memorial was not planned ahead of time, but a couple of heads got together a few days ago and they're like, no, people will not make it to Lesotho, and for various reasons, but let's give Sam a send-off from Cape Town, where he spent almost, I think it was 9 years, Leander, right? About 9 years. It will be 10 years next year. And it was, as Leander pointed out to me yesterday, he was very excited about being a citizen and not having to do police clearance and all these things that you'd have to do if you're a foreign national. He never got that chance, but guys, I really want to thank all of you for the contributions and everything. Thank you so much.
So when I do this, you all rise. Not now. Over to you.
where S.Mohapi and the late S.Mohapi were blessed with their only son, Sephekana Mohapi, named after his grandfather. Sephekana is the second child of 3 siblings, his older sister, and younger sister, Macho. Destined for greatness, he started his schooling in Katlehong in Tabatseka, and later attended St. James Primary School in Marseille, the capital city of the Kingdom of Lesotho. Sephekana was very clear on the vision and goal for his life. After primary, he attended Lesotho High School in Marseille. After completing his high school, he enrolled at Machabeng College in Marseille, where he did his bridging course that would allow him to study in South Africa. In 2014, he arrived in the mother city, Cape Town, in South Africa. It was here where he enrolled in the University of Cape Town for his Bachelor of Science degree, and he completed undergrad in 2016. He then enrolled for his honors bachelor in medical science and completed it in 2017. And anyone who knew him will tell you this was just the beginning. He later enrolled for his Master of Science in Medicine degree in 2019 and completed it in 2021 with a distinction. Sam started tutoring at the University of Cape Town in 2018 and was very good at it. His work was evident in the results of his students. In 2020, at the peak of COVID-19, he was employed as a medical scientist in the COVID-19 lab at the National Health Laboratory Services. While watching him become the best version of himself, finding his feet in the world, and parallelly writing his chapter on planet Earth, the unexpected happened. On Thursday, 10 March, Sephekana, the great-grandchild of Sephekana Senior, took his final breath in Rosebank Hospital in Cape Town, South Africa. He transitioned to the realm of those who refer to his ancestors. Our prayer is that may the ancestors that came before you, Sephekana S.Mohapi, embrace you and make your transition better. May you find great comfort in the bosom of your mother, Mohapi. May God forgive you all your sins and embrace you in his eternal embrace. If there's a blanket one gets on the arrival on the other side, may you be given the best blanket on the shelves. We will pray for your spirit as your mortal remains return to the land of your forefathers. Rest now, young man, for evening is upon us. Robalaka holds on where our pity was a Tamaya and Baba Warahos. Scripture reading from the book of Psalms, verse 23. Chapter 23, verse 3. And the verse 3 says, He restoreth my soul. That's 4. When a car breaks, when a machinery breaks, when a microwave breaks, we take it back to the manufacturer. This scripture says, when you are broken, return to the manufacturer. Who is the manufacturer? God. He restores my soul. We are all We are all tarnished. We are in pieces. And the only person who can fix us is the manufacturer of human race, which is God. So whenever it gets hard, remember to pray. May you please bow our heads and pray. Take over my money, take over what's going on. on a journey, very long, to another country. Her brother's mortal remains will do the same. We ask that you become part of that journey. You should protect them and everything that they have planned and are wishing to do. We ask that you make it a possibility and a reality. As well, political man, okay. Start our Moses Kusel, we ask this of you, Father God, in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen. May you please receive the benediction. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit abide with us now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you, everyone. That is my cue to leave the podium. Thank you very much. And also, we do have a book of condolences. If you guys could please sign it, it's right in front of me, in terms of what is happening going forward. On the 26th of March, you can take it. You can take it. You can just get correct information. Don't come up with so on the 26th of March, in Lesotho, Liberia, my goodness, I cannot pronounce this name. I'm going to ask you to sorry. It will never come and pronounce the name I can't at all.
Can we at this try?
Yo, it's too long.
Okay, on the 26th of March, in Lesotho, Liberia, Mahatwani, Halula, that's where we will
Lay him to rest on the 26th of March. Thank you very much. And if you have any queries, please touch base with Umali, Tato, Uyanda. They will have all the answers in terms of all those that are interested in attending the funeral. Mali, Uyanda, Tato. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Sharp, sharp.